Mr. Emin, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, very good, bro. Excited to be back. It's a little bit quiet in here today. We've got Inan.
There he is. Oh, his black screen. He's that unimportant at the moment because he's not here that I didn't even connect his camera.
Yeah, well, we had to what's the word? Censor him out with some of his outrageous things. So
Yeah.
we've given him a podcast timeout today.
Podcast. He's as absent as your hair.
Pretty much. It's all gone, guys. New haircut, new jumper. It's getting cool in Sydney. It's a bit nice, man. It's refreshing in the morning. You can feel that seasonal change. But I don't know. It was the best time to get rid of hair because it keeps you so warm. But I just got fed up with it.
No, it has been pretty chilly, which has been good in Sydney, to be honest. But yeah, we've other news for us besides
Something
the weather.
that hasn't been chilly and something that's been red hot topic for the week. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but there's been almost like a coup on football this week. And
That's literally what you call it, yeah.
a big apology to our listeners who don't like to listen to the topic of sport. Guys, we can't miss this opportunity. This is something that we want to talk about. Actually, off air, we haven't really spoken about this, so it's going to be interesting to get your opinion on the whole thing as well.
We have a few friends that we spoke about in the WhatsApp group. But besides that, yeah, we haven't really kept in contact with physically about all this. Yeah, the coup on football, European football. So what do we have? We had 12 teams who tried to break away from their not leagues,
Their associations.
break away from UEFA.
Yep.
They want to break away from the UEFA champ. And I think, I don't want to get too far ahead. They try to break away from more the Champions League and create their own European Super League and try to replace the Champions League midweek games for themselves with that, whilst also staying in the domestic league.
Mm-hmm.
So what did we had? We had 6 clubs in England, the big 5 plus Tottenham. We had Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico, Inter, AC, Juve, and the rumor was PSG or Bayern was going to get involved, but Bayern was never getting involved in that. PSG, I have a feeling PSG would have joined if there was a positive feedback to it.
Yep.
But the reason why this is such a massive deal is because it wasn't necessarily because of the clubs leaving or trying to avoid UEFA, if you want to call it avoid, but it was more, it was literally going to destroy football, if you actually think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people didn't understand where, like some people were actually for the European Super League.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it from the sense of, okay, it's, on paper, it's great seeing Chelsea versus Barcelona and then Bayern Munich versus Chelsea and then Chelsea versus Real Madrid, week in and week out.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing to see that. But what people actually didn't realize is the domestic league becomes worthless.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, for you to finish, if the top 4 was filled in by those 4 teams, say Man City, Liverpool, United, Chelsea,
Mm-hmm.
it literally becomes the domestic league becomes pointless from a sense of, why did I finish 4th? Why do I have to put that thing in? Because they were guaranteed permanent spots in the Europa League.
Those 12 teams were anyway,
in the Super League. And they were getting 380 million euros each or something like that. And that was just the beginning process of how much money was actually involved. Now, the reason why this was so bad is because financially, this would have destroyed every other team in their domestic leagues. And not only, it's the teams that aren't involved in those leagues.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a lot of people didn't actually think about this long term because, let's look at Galatasaray, for example, which is in the Turkish Super League. For them to finish first, they were going to go to the Champions League or try to progress through the groups, the knockout stages to go to the Champions League. If the Champions League's financial rewards take a massive hit, Galatasaray is going to go, why do I need to bother? You know what I mean? Like, we get depressed when they go to Europa League. Mm-hmm. And that's what the Champions League would have became, because when you have 12 of your massive squads that's bringing in the numbers into the Champions League,
sponsorships,
except Arsenal and Tottenham, it's more along the lines of, like, okay, why am I going to bother? I win the Turkish domestic league, or I win whatever domestic league I'm in, but financially, it's gonna be pointless.
You have a mad point there, because being a Galatasaray supporter, look, they can qualify for the Champions League and not win a game, but just that that qualification money is a big deal for the
It's like
club.
25 million euros or 30
Yeah,
million.
if
For
they're
the
the
small,
sole.
because let's be real. Like Galatasaray is a small club
Of
compared
course.
to the 12.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And take Galatasaray out. Let's use Porto as an example. Like
Yeah.
Porto, Ajax, they're monsters in Europe. Do you know what I mean? They've pretty much bred teams or bred players for major teams to buy. Do you know what I mean? Especially Ajax, if you look at their history. They even had that run in, what was it, 2 years ago into the semi-finals.
Yep.
Those types of teams are going to suffer massively because these 12 went somewhere else.
Yep.
And the coup itself is massive because the story that I read, so the Juve president, which was Andrea Agnelli. I don't mind my pronunciation or my Italian, if you want to call it. So Andrea is Andrea Agnelli. He is the godfather to the UEFA president's daughter.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? And from what I was reading, whether this is true or not, but from what considering what's happened, I choose to believe it. Do you know what I mean? Apparently, the UEFA president rang him and said, "Look, I'm hearing stuff about European Super League." He goes, "Should I be worried?" And he was like, "No, don't worry about it." He goes, "I'll call you later." And he apparently switched his phone off.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and this is look at the close relationship they have. Do you know what I mean? And then you had Ed Woodward who resigned from Man United, but also they pushed out the Manchester United out of the European Club Association. You had the Juve president who leave his spot. I think he was president at the time or vice president. He left the European Club Association as well because everyone's moving towards the European Super League. And then there was photos coming out like from 2017 of the Glazer family who owns United, John Henry, which owns FSG, which owns Liverpool, the AC Milan, I think Ivan Gazidis, I think it was, and one other head of the clubs. They're all having dinner. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like you could automatically say, okay, that was where it's all the talks are starting to begin. But the big problem in this whole scenario is the Real Madrid president, to be honest, Florentino Perez. It's just this guy. It's so far, Real Madrid and Barcelona haven't left.
As of now, which is Friday.
So it's literally El Clasico Super League right now.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And he's refusing to give up on it.
But nothing changes for them anyway because the Spanish league is only 2 teams anyway. Like,
I have my own theory, my own little conspiracy about this, and it was the Spanish and maybe the Italians, but I'm leaning towards just the Spanish league. They wanted to destroy the Premier League.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Because the Premier League is pride and joy. Do you know what I mean? Like to world football. Now I'm not saying it's the best football. It's the most entertaining football. Mm-hmm. And what Real Madrid and I reckon the president didn't like was the value that these 6 clubs bring to the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? There's a reason why their TV rights are so expensive because they love seeing City and United go head to head on a yearly basis. They love seeing Liverpool and Manchester United go head to head, and it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's the surprise of City losing to West Brom, you know, Burnley, Leicester winning the Premier League. You know, that's what brought the Premier League to what it is. A team like Leicester winning the Premier League. A team like West Ham, who's currently 4th or 5th or whatever they are, having the chance to host teams like Bayern Munich next year. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like just imagine that. That's not going to happen when you have a European Super League.
No.
So I think they got jealous and they said, how do we destroy this? How do we tap into that market? They go, we bring them into ours. Now, he hasn't given up, and this is not new, man. Like, European Super League has been around for a while. Like, the idea.
Bro, I'll take you back. I can't remember how long ago it was, like 6-7 years ago when Galatasaray had a falling out with the Turkish Football Federation. Galatasaray, as a small club, was ready to make its own league in Europe. So it's not surprising that big teams like Real Madrid and Barcelona, especially these 2 teams in the Spanish league, like I said, they've been like a 2-team league for a long time with Atletico, you know, who comes close. They're actually leading it at the moment. But I can sort of see that it could raise some resentment that these 2 teams are pretty much carrying the whole league, bringing in all the sponsorship rights, all the money, all the TV rights and whatnot. And maybe in a way they wanted to prove how much of a push they have on this league. Like, without us, imagine Barcelona, Real Madrid and Atletico leave, what do you have left in Spain? Nothing. You're going to watch like Getafe play Villarreal and like it's just mediocre games. So these two clubs being such big superpowers in the league, and they brought along Atletico with them to bring that number 3 along. They're like, man, we have so much pull in this league that we can do, like, we can take it away and destroy the league almost.
Yeah. And to the credit, and this is where credit is due, it's the fans. The fans stopped this, not anyone else. Look, I'll probably give good credit to Gary Neville as well, who blasted all of these guys. I disagree with a lot of stuff he says sometimes, but he was on point with this one.
Look, the fans definitely, there has to be some, like praise for the fans. But I don't understand this. So UEFA came out quite early and said, look, if you participate in this, you're not playing World Cup, you're not playing Euro, you're not playing for, the Champions League or whatever, blah, blah. It's like the teams were like, yeah, all right, let's keep going. But do you see what problems this raises? Imagine being a player who's playing for, say, Real Madrid. You can't play for your country anymore, right? There goes your international, caps and stuff like that. Not only that, I was thinking from a player perspective, this would make players feel unsafe because you have a player, let's say, I don't know, someone who's playing for Manchester United in the prime of his career, he turns 34. He's got that option to go play for a smaller club in the EPL, go to a smaller league like in the Turkish league or, even in like in anywhere Portugal, anywhere. But once you're locked into the Super League, and if you're not allowed to go play for mainstream clubs, what happens when you turn 31 and you're not desirable to Real Madrid anymore? Your career's pretty much finished.
You either go to America or you retire.
Yeah, could they go to America? Was that or
they're out of UEFA?
They're in a different association. But yeah, you're either going to go play for some Asian club, you're going to come to Australia and play A-League, or you're going to go to America. And I think from a player perspective, coming towards the end of your career when you're thinking about retirement, obviously these guys are making money, but they got to worry about their retirement and stuff as well. It just puts them in a crappy position as well.
100%. And like even like going on with that type of problem. Let's say like you Luis Suarez, for example, yeah? You go into the European Super League, you don't want to play in there. Okay? But say hypothetically it's going ahead and you don't want to play for any of those teams. If you're a superstar, who's going to afford you? Two teams.
Yeah.
It's Bayern Munich or PSG.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the players are going to want to represent their countries. They would have wanted to leave. But the big problem that they're going to have is who's going to pay your wages?
Yeah. Do
you know what I mean? Like the teams that can pay your wages are no longer unavailable
in
to
any
you.
league.
And Bayern Munich and PSG is not going to buy everyone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like imagine like in one hit you got De Bruyne leave, Salah leave, you got I don't know who's coming to my head at the moment.
Sterling, Mane,
like Bruno Fernandes, all of these players all wanting to leave. Who's going to pay your wages?
That's right.
Do you know
it puts the players in a crappy position.
It literally destroys the market in a way because it's a fluster of players that disagree with the Super League. Then it would have put all the big teams which are in the Super League are even more problematic because they got to replace these players. Mm-hmm. So how much are you willing to pay for a player to come out?
Yeah.
There's two players, Messi and Ronaldo. I'm actually pretty disappointed in them.
Because they didn't step up?
They didn't step up.
Yeah.
These are the two players that could have made a massive difference if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? If Messi came out and said, I'm not interested in this, Barcelona is leaving.
Yeah.
There's no ifs or buts about this.
Mm-hmm.
But conspiracy hat on, like Yunan would say, maybe they offered him better deals.
Yeah. Or look, we've known about Messi's problems with Barcelona.
Yeah.
Maybe he's already got exit plans or whatever in stock, and maybe
I think he's staying
in defense. Yeah, I think so too. Because who else is going to afford him? But if that was in any way a defense for Messi, then he's like, man, I'm leaving anyway. I don't want to have any trouble with this. Blah blah. I'm going to go play for I don't know whoever he's going to play for, Bayern, for example,
West
or PSG
Ham.
or West Ham. So maybe that's not. But yeah, you're right. Like these big players didn't really have a voice. I know that. It was interesting because managers started to speak up against their own directors. Klopp was very verbal in saying that. Guardiola, like, I don't want to get involved in this. I mean, we also, in amongst this news, it sort of got brushed away because it wasn't as important, but Mourinho got sacked from Tottenham. Just a question for you as a little side note. Do you see Tottenham using this as an excuse to get rid of him? Or was there or do you know of him going really against this whole Super League and that's what led to his exit?
I heard two things about Mourinho. I don't know which one to believe, but I probably lean towards the latter. the first one that I heard was he refused to put the players on the training ground because of the European Super League, and he was against it, and then they sacked him from that. The second one that I heard was in his contract, his compensation varies on where they sack him based on. Sorry, they sack him based on where he is on the current table, and where they were currently was a cheaper option than where they could be.
So Mourinho was just a stock.
Pretty much. Where they said, you know what, if we sack you if you're 7th, we might have to pay you 10 million. Yep. But if we sacked you if you were 6th, we might have had to pay you 15 million. Yeah. So I think they took a more a financial option here. I'm leaning towards that rather than him not telling the players to go out. I think the players can make their own decisions as well. And I believe most of them did. Like Liverpool and their team coming out all on, was it Instagram or Twitter, and they all released the same message, was very good of them. Guardiola came out with I'll praise him. Tuchel got blocked on his press conference. But you can just see the amount of issues it caused worldwide. Fans revolting against their own team. Manchester United fans storming their own training ground this morning, or our morning, I should say. And Liverpool's bus getting... Was it Liverpool's bus? No, sorry. Liverpool's bus getting halted because of the Leeds fans and all that type of stuff. Now, I know most of the people know about it, so we'll go on to what now? Do you know what I mean? Like, what now? So the rumor is, or the rumor that is coming out is they don't know what to do with the teams that are currently in the Champions League. They have to play. Do you know what I mean? Like, you got Real Madrid versus Chelsea and City versus PSG. You take out the 3 teams, PSG is the automatic winner. I'm happy. To be honest, I'm happy with that. Good on him. Give him to PSG. And I'm a Chelsea fan here. Give him to PSG. I couldn't give you 2 shits. These 3 teams, they deserve to. All those 12 teams deserve to get punished here. Whether it's a massive fine or you put a transfer embargo on them, or you ban them from the competition. Pick one. I don't care. But UEFA can't do that this year because...
You'll reignite it?
Not reignite it. It's because they have contracts signed.
Yeah.
These guys have contracts signed already with broadcasting rights. They have to broadcast games. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to come out and say Real Madrid and Chelsea are now banned. Therefore, we don't have a game to put in the spot. Yep. Do you know what I mean? Do we call 2 teams from the last 16 and put them? No, it's not going to work like that. It's too much problems. So, do they ban them next year? It's like, this is where UEFA needs to make a massive decision. Yeah. Because... You know, do you have diamond balls or you paper hands? Do you know what I mean? Like,
to be honest, UEFA, I think, really showed how diamond their balls were during the whole thing, and there was no mucking around. They came out straight out and said, "You're not going to do this. If you do this, you're not. You know, you can't have international."
But do you think that they stopped because of UEFA? They didn't give a shit about UEFA. I reckon the fans did. The fans revolt destroyed this.
I think even the fans' big thing, and also players, man. You can't take away what players did, because players. What do you mean I'm not going to play in the World Cup that's coming up next year? We've qualified for it, or Euros that's coming up in a couple of months. You know, you put your heart and soul into a competition. You know, going into international friendlies, international games wouldn't be hard because they're easy, because they're midweek. So you've got to do the traveling. You've got to all of a sudden like remesh with these guys that you haven't played with for 3-4 months. You know, taking away that credit would just annoy a player. And then if you do go through with it, with the morale of these players, are they going to cancel their contracts and walk out on you before you go out into that league? And then, you know, how are you going to get players into that league when they know that they're going to miss out on internationals and they can't go anywhere else? The fans, not discrediting them at all. The players, also managers. And I think what this has done, especially like from, we can't say Man City because they don't really have fans, but from a Liverpool perspective, Klopp has become a bigger figure for Liverpool supporters now. You know, those players coming out and say, we don't want to be about... Like, for fans now, you've got a massive gap in their respect or their attitude towards, you know, their boards and their managers now, because managers came out and said, we're not doing this. So, I think everyone being involved did it. What were fans going to do if they did go ahead with it? They're not going to go to games in Europe. There's no games as it is. And I think that's what sparked this whole thing anyway, is that how much money these big clubs have lost due to not being able to have fan attendance in these games. But in terms of how UEFA handles this, I think a massive fine is just. And I didn't think about it before, but you bring up a great thing. Let's put a transfer embargo on them. Let's put it for 3 years and be like, hey, man, if you guys went into the Super League, this is what it was going to be like anyway, because you were going to find it hard to pull players in. Let's see how you go without being able to, you know, transfer these players. And maybe it'll even, get them to boost up their youth academies and bring in new.
Hey, we've done it before. We'll do it again.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I think a fine, an embargo would be awesome. And I'm not even talking 1 year. Hit them with like 2 or 3 seasons so that they're really punished for this. Because honestly, it would have made football disgusting.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. It's just again, we're going to have to see what UEFA actually come down with, because I think they should. If you look at it now, Real Madrid and Barca don't give a shit. They're still in it. Like they formally haven't left.
Yeah.
Ban them.
Yeah.
Ban them from the Champions League. Not this year. Ban them next year.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Let's see what happens. Or ban Real, especially the way Florentino Perez has come out.
Yeah.
Stuff them. If you mean ban all 12, I don't care. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's for them to feel what they did. Do you know what I mean? It's gonna turn the fans against the board, which it has already. Do you know what I mean? Like, Man United asking for the Glazer family to pretty much sell and piss off. McGregor said he'll buy Man United. I don't know with what money. Arsenal won. I forgot his name. Cranker out. I'm pretty sure it's Cranker. Maybe it's a mispronunciation. They want him out. That he hasn't been involved with the fans for 10, 15 years. Man City and even with, again, I'm not being biased here. I feel like Man City and Chelsea were more pressurized to get in, and that's based on what I've been reading, which was more join us or you're stuffed. It was more that type rather than them going, we're the architects. That's why if you look at the thing, Man City and Chelsea were the first to leave. The moment Chelsea announced they were putting something together, Man City said we're leaving. Yeah. I don't know.
I think they weren't as verbal as other clubs as well. Like, even from a Liverpool point of view, it seemed like they were really supportive of it. Yeah, we signed up, we're in. Like, whereas
they all released the same note. It's copy paste,
pretty much.
Yeah.
But if UEFA was to come out and say all these 12 teams next year not in Champions League, do you think UEFA loses big out of this as well?
That's why I always refer to it now as diamond balls. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You for you to make a stance here, you have to take a hit. Do you know what I mean? Like, if they ban them, yes, 100%. They're going to cop a financial, astronomical bill here. Do you know what I mean? Like, your 12 massive teams, 3 of which are in the semi-finals now. Do you know what I mean? And one of them is going to be in the final. Potentially both. You have to make a decision. Do you go for the 12 clubs that aren't in there and say, if you look at the Premier League currently, if you take out those 6 clubs,
you got a really weird EPL entry, man.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I think off the top of my head, I think it was Leicester, West Ham, Aston Villa and Leeds, or Everton and Leeds. They're your 4 in the Champions League.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's what it is.
Well, who do you get from Spain? Then you're getting like mediocre teams from Spain. It's same thing with Serie A.
Get up.
Like, Serie A would be really mediocre teams as well. I mean, like, you'd have Atalanta,
Napoli.
Yeah.
I think Lazio is 3rd or 4th or 6th or whatever. Sorry, there's 6. I think
Napoli haven't been really crash hot the last couple of seasons as well.
But this is where UEFA have to make a decision.
That's right. And But the interesting thing is as well, this whole Super League thing has all of a sudden UEFA's got this new format for Champions League lined up for 2 years later.
Horrible.
Yeah. What are they saying? It's going to be like 2 groups, and each team gets to play at least 10 times, and
36 teams, 2 groups, so 18 on each side, and they play 10 games out of those groups. It's like, okay, so how do you determine this? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're in the same group. Say you're in the same group as City, Barcelona, Bayern, and all that, but Bayern cop the teams that are a lot easier compared to, say, City or someone else who's going to cop, say, the biggest teams in those fixtures. How is that fair?
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. It's just like, okay, is that like something that UEFA threw in terms of desperation? Hey, they're doing this. We're gonna come out and do this. Like,
UEFA were always gonna revamp the Champions League because they want more money at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it falls down to, because I think it was saying that it was an additional 100 games on top of what it actually is currently. It's just more money, more reason for UEFA to approach people who wants to broadcast and go, mate, we're doing 100 more games here. You're gonna have to pay up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if anyone actually knows this in Australia, but Optus lost the Champions League rights.
So who's it going to?
Some fucking dropkick of a new channel that just started and want to overprice the shit out of it. Who was it? Because last time it got brought to my attention. I'm like, I go, no, I haven't seen this yet. Like it like most people know that, like,
put it on KO, man.
I
It's
know.
like I can pay one subscription, get my 2 sports, like, and if wait, it's just Champions League, so they still have rights to the international stuff.
I haven't looked at the Premier League as of yet. I think off the top of my head, that's going to
Well, look, while you talk about that,
Sports Flick.
okay,
Yeah, like it's not like someone known.
yeah,
And mind you, what they fucking want to charge, I'm not paying that. So I'm going to not watch it. And it's just like, I think they were asking for $15-16 a month to watch Champions League.
well, there's sometimes breaks that you get like a game in a month.
Yeah. And not only that, sometimes I don't want to watch Chelsea versus Kroanska Haven from Denmark, or whatever their names are.
Yeah, or like, well, they'll put in those rowing shows and stuff for you so that you're getting bang for your buck with it. Look, beside that, if UEFA does decide to show their diamond balls off and ban these 12 clubs, I know as a football fan, I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know how likely this is, but it would be nice if there's like a little mashup for these next 3 years. Maybe put in an extra couple of groups, bring in smaller clubs from different countries, you know, so that we're sharing this money. You're also going to bring in revenue by, you know, the TV rights in that country to watch, you know, their favorite team or their top teams or whatever. Like, make it an automatic qualification for small clubs like Olympiacos from Greece, or like, I don't know, some other small clubs like the Scottish Premier League or whatever. Just stick them in there so that you have more players, you have more teams. The big teams are still suffering because they're not in it, and you're giving these small teams chances to play at big level football. You're bringing in more crowds from different countries. I think that it won't cover the loss that UEFA has from these massive clubs, but you're going to bring in some sort of revenue into it and mash things up, give other clubs a chance to play at that level.
But they don't bring in money, man.
Yeah, I know, but if you don't bring them in, they're going to bring nothing at all.
But that's what I mean. Like, I reckon if you looked at it and they said, would you rather one team from Armenia or Greece or Belarus, or do we add a fifth team into England?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like,
See what
or
I mean?
do something like that where you're putting in more small club. It's still going to be a small club with those whatever 6 gone. Man, you're going to get into, you know, your newly promoted teams playing Champions League. Like,
But if you look at the Premier League, like say if they add a fifth team, you're still covering your take out Leicester for example at the moment, but you're still covering, like, you're trying to cover your big 6. The aim is try to have that big 6 in the Champions League. So your best bet is 5 of them go through and 1 wins it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's where you make your money off it.
Yep.
And that's not to say most of them make it through to the group stage. Man United didn't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Arsenal don't make the Champions League. Arsenal don't know what football is at the moment. They're a bit lost at the moment. But, like, yeah, I don't know. I think there's a meeting on our Friday night, so tonight, in for UEFA to decide what's going to happen with the current status of the Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if they're making a decision on next year. But in my opinion, ban them.
Yeah.
All. And I'm a Chelsea fan. But what does the Premier League do?
Do you ban them from your...
There's no chance in hell they'll ban those 16. There's no chance. But see, German football has this down pat, which is 51% fans. So 51% of the voting rights is by the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Does the Premier League start implementing that rule? The government has to implement that rule. So Boris Johnson, with his shitty haircut, needs to put that rule in to go, you know, from now on, it needs to be like this, where certain clubs cannot be owned by one company. Or if they are owned by one company, the fans need to make rights by this, and this.
And they should be able to vote by buying chilies?
By Chile's fan tokens.
So we all make money.
So I don't know. I don't know what, like, there's so many outcomes. And how do you prevent this from happening? Like, if these guys were smart, they would have approached UEFA and said, why don't we create something? Why don't we create, like,
A super Champions League.
or maybe like a Champions League World Cup. You know what I mean? Or a club where revamp the stupid FIFA Club World Cup.
How many teams in that? 8 teams?
Club World Cup.
Yeah.
I think it starts off with 16.
Okay.
Because I think they get all the Africans and the Oceanics and the Americans and Mexicans, and then it's like one from each, and then they.
And then Sydney FC gets pumped 6-0 by some Philippines team, and
yeah, pretty much. And like, get rid of that. Get rid of it. Make it
something good, and make it an off-season thing, maybe.
Yeah.
Like you have your World Cup, you have your Euro, and you have those 2 years in between those things. Maybe put it in there. And happens like once every 2 years, once every 4 years, but it's just this massive club event that happens.
Yeah, that's how you generate money. Put it on the UEFA brand, and go. Okay, fair enough.
And it can be those 12 clubs still involved in it every year. Because where do you get bigger clubs than those anyway?
Yeah.
And you add your Bayerns and your Dortmunds and
it's the prize money, man. It's the value of the tournament. That's the problem. See, the European Super League makes sense from a value perspective. Yeah. Okay, it makes sense from a brand. I get that, but you won't have a brand when you don't have when you don't have players to buy teams from. When we don't have teams to buy players from. You know, like, these players don't come from your development squads. You're buying them from other players. There's a reason why United went and spent 80 million on Harry Maguire. Okay, it's because they had a shit defense. No, it's just because they need to find players that their club isn't producing.
Yeah.
Those clubs can only produce these players if they're gaining money. Like, Leicester's training ground has got so much more of a development now. Do you know what I mean? Like, because of their Premier League win, because of the way they're financing themselves, the way, I get that they have a rich owner, don't get me wrong, but it's more, I've seen teams with rich owners and they're not doing what they need to do for their teams. Like, I reckon Leicester's owner is doing more for his team than Arsenal's owner is doing for Arsenal. And you can see the difference in it. Yeah, I get Arsenal's one of the richest clubs in the world, but different level right now. They are on a massive different level. And you break away in a tournament, in a different league, these teams are going to suffer. Your Leicesters are going to suffer. For them to win the Premier League is not going to be worth anything anymore.
Yeah.
Real Madrid would have won the Champions League, literally, because there's not going to be a Champions League anyway. Because even if you do win it, it's going to be like, well, the other 12 teams weren't there.
Yeah. So,
like, there's so many ifs and buts. I do hope that they get punished. Yeah. They need to get punished, or like, they got to sell their clubs, or they got to do something. Do you know what I mean? Like, they can't walk away from it. Do you know, like, this is too much there's too much of a big problem that they've caused. It's a massive problem that they've caused, that if they don't go unpunished, it's coming back.
Yeah.
This whole European Super League shit's coming back.
At the same time, the nice guy in me is saying, man, it was the board. It was like your managers going against the whole thing. Your players were going against the whole thing. Why are they being punished for it? You know what I mean? But at the same time, like you said, man, if this doesn't happen now, in 2 years again, it's going to come up again. In 3 years again, it's going to come up again.
Arsene Wenger warned everyone back in
2009 or something?
10 or 11 years ago, whatever it was, that it's going to come up. And this isn't the first time. People are going to want money. Yeah. Every team is thinking about it. They're going, well, if the broadcast right deals are £10 billion for the Premier League, just an example, those big six are going, we know how much we bring, so why aren't we getting a bigger slice of the pie?
Yeah.
Like, that's their mentality.
And that's the biggest, that's what I was saying about Real and Barcelona, man. Like, they are the whole league.
Yeah, literally. And that's going to be that's going to be the biggest problem that you're going to have, is until you fix that loophole, you're going to suffer. And you go.
No, go.
And then there was more talks, which is because now you and I touched on this last year. The Newcastle United takeover. Now, see, that's also come up now as well, which is more. What was it? Saudi? Yeah, the Saudi prince wanted to buy Newcastle United, and now everyone's going. Do they start questioning any other new owner now? Do you know what I mean? Like, they're going, we can actually let him buy Newcastle because they're going to have to sell. They have to sell that club. Do you know what I mean? And they sort of lean towards more, he wouldn't have done this because he needs to make a good impression on football. He needs to make a good thing. So, just a slide note, I think that might slowly start to go ahead again.
Yeah.
I reckon.
It'll be interesting to see what comes out. Obviously, next week we'll be talking about the results of it, even if it's not as in depth as this week. So don't tune out next week if you don't like the topic of football. But I know how verbal. I had people messaging me on Instagram, had people messaging me on WhatsApp, like what's going on with the Super League and how furious they were about it and blah, blah, blah. Guys, comment down in below what you thought about it, what you were angry about, who you think were the real heroes in this. Was it the fans you thought? Was it managers who were going up against, their board? Was it players? Let us know what you're happy about, who you're angry about. Just let us all know. We don't get enough comments on our videos, Fatih, and we get, generally all right viewing. So please bump up those comments. Even if you're swearing at me, like whatever, let's get a comment, get a like down there. If you don't like it, dislike it. I just want to see some more interaction from people who watch us.
100%, man. Totally agree. And let us know. Let us know the team you support, and if Arsenal should even be in that Super League to begin with.
You're going to get so much hate from Arsenal supporters. But that's a wrap from us.
That's a wrap from us, man. Thank you for joining me, Em.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Inan as well. Thanks for your presence, bro. It's great when
he's
you're
a
here
black screen for Inan.
and not here. Bye, Inan.
Right. Thank you very much, guys, for listening.